Good afternoon, Mr. President, Acting Chief Justice, Mr. Raymond Zondo, Minister Lamula, Director General in Presidency, Ms. Baleni, representatives of the South African media, foreign correspondents, the globe at large, and good afternoon to the entire South Africa. Good afternoon again. My name is Mondli, Minister in the Presidency. It's an honor for me to welcome the President and the Acting Chief Justice to the Union Buildings on an important occasion in the recent history in our country. The Acting Chief Justice is here in his capacity as a chair of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the state capture on fraud and corruption in the public sector. The chair will shortly present part one of the final report of the Commission to the President of the Republic. We are mindful, ladies and gentlemen, of the fact that this happened against other contesting national event, the painful departure of our icon, Bishop Emeritus Tutu, and of course, the blaze in our parliament. Those are some of the events wouldn't have prepared to be in contest with this one. But somebody would say democracy has got its own crests and downwards. In this significant moment, we will be led by the two gentlemen, the Acting Chief Justice, the President, in dealing with today's event. To do so, it's important to remind the country that today we're engaging in an exercise which is an affirmation of the commitment of this country to ensure an ethical society, a corruption-free society, a society that ensures that in its environment, young men and women commit to spend and plan their life in medium and long term because of that ethical platform that ensures that if you spend your money in this country, it's safe, both from the state of your resources and being safe from crime. So today's exercise is an affirmation of that commitment by our country. Against that background, we intend to have a short event. In that short event, the proceedings are as follows. I'll just run it so that we all understand. There's a point where we're going to call upon the Acting Chief Justice to make remarks. And having done that, he will take his seat, and then we call him again to hand over the report, where he will be joined by the President. After that event, the President will make his remarks. After the President will give an opportunity for interaction with yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. And I am luckily assured that we've agreed on 3 questions, and you know who's going to ask those questions. May I take this opportunity now to call upon the Acting Chief Justice to deliver his remarks.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Minister Gungubele, Mr. President, Minister Lamula, Secretary of the Commission, Professor Musala, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a very special day today when the Commission is able to deliver to the President part one of its report. It's been a grueling 4 years of the Commission. In a few days' time, the 9th of January, we will complete 4 years since the announcement of the establishment of the Commission. and 3 years of that period was the hearing of oral evidence by the Commission. I know that most of you, if not all of you, and the public would have liked that today we would be handing over a complete report. We too would have liked that. But it has not been possible, but we will deliver part one of the report. Let me just explain what part one entails. In part one of the report, we have got 3 volumes. Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Volume 1 deals with South African Airways and its associated companies, namely SAAT and SA Express. Volume 2 deals with the new age, the advertisements and breakfast shows, briefings that used to happen, where various SOEs and government departments entered into contracts with the Gupta company that owned the new age. That is Volume 2. Volume 3 deals with SARS, South African Revenue Service, as well as the topic of public procurement in South Africa. Public procurement in South Africa is a topic where we look at what the position is in public procurement in South Africa within the context of the terms of the Commission. That's part one. As you know, by end of January, we will deliver part 2 of the report. It will deal with a certain number of SOEs and certain number of topics. And by the end of February, we'll deliver part 3, which will cover the rest of entities that we need to deal with and other topics. I want to indicate that we have not prepared a summary of the report at this stage because we have considered that we should provide a summary at the end. So in part 3, we'll include a summary of the entire report. But the part 1 that we are presenting, as I indicated, has got 3 volumes that deal with certain topics. Those are manageable. If you want to look at SARS, you just take that volume and look at SARS. If you want to look at SAA, you take that volume and look at SAA, and so on and so on. If you want to look at public procurement, you take volume 3, which also contains SARS, and you look at that. So we are very pleased that we are able to deliver part 1 of the report. I just take this chance also to thank the legal team, the investigation team of the Commission, the Secretariat, and everybody who has made it possible for us to deliver part 1 to the President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting Chief Justice, for setting that tone and giving us a picture of what could be contained in the report. First tranche, next tranche, end of January, last tranche, end of February. At this point in time, we go to the next item for the readiness of the handing over of the report. I think the Chief Justice team, Acting Chief Justice team, must be ready for that purpose. We hand over to you, sir. We will request you to stand there for that exercise, if you can just wait. For that exercise, yes. We wanted nothing to hide that exercise. And at that point, we will invite the State President to join you. Mr. President. Mr. President, if you can also go down. It's not about the status, it's geographical. Thank you, Mr. President. Acting Chief Justice, we're in your hands.
Mr. President, I have pleasure in handing over to you this evening part one of the report of the Commission. As I said, it consists of 3 volumes. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. May I have that over to you?
If you can hold it. Yes. This is a photo shooting opportunity for you, ladies and gentlemen. Use whatever angles you prefer. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Acting Chief Justice. Thank you very much. Now we go into the next item. This is one of the fastest programs you've ever seen. We call upon the President to do his remarks. Thank you, Mr. President.
You seem to enjoy yourself.
Acting Chief Justice, Justice Raymond Zondo, Minister in the Presidency, Minister Mondli Gungubele, Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Minister Ronald Lamula, Secretary of the Commission, Professor Itumeleng Mosala, Director General, Ms. Pindi Baleni, officials in government and colleagues and members of the media who are here, and fellow South Africans. This is what I would call a defining moment in our country's effort to definitely end the era of state capture and to restore the integrity, credibility, and the capability of our institutions, but more importantly, our government. The formal handover of the first part of the report of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture, corruption, and fraud in the public sector takes place nearly 4 years since the establishment of the Commission. It has seemed like an extremely long period, and it has. But finally, we have arrived at this moment when Acting Chief Justice Zondo has now handed over the first part of the report. This occasion marks the beginning of the final phase of the Commission's work, which will culminate with the submission of the remaining parts of the report by the 28th of February 2022. I should extend my gratitude, and indeed also the nation's gratitude, to the chairperson of the Commission, Acting Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, for the extraordinary feat of public service. For close on 4 years, Justice Zondo has pursued this profound responsibility with dedication, with determination, also with a great deal of
patience as he plodded through documents, listened to witnesses. We wish him well as he enters the final stretch of the Commission's work, because I'm sure that there's still quite a lot of work to be done to finalize all the other two parts of the report. I also wish to extend a word of gratitude to the Secretary of the Commission, Professor Mosala, the heads of the investigation and legal teams, the evidence leaders, the researchers, and the other Commission staff for the valuable contribution that they made to the national effort to confront state capture, and many others who were working behind the scenes whom we never really got to see. Would like to extend a word of gratitude to them, and I wish to thank the many people who gave evidence before the Commission itself, and to the academics, the investigators, the journalists, whose work contributed to uncovering many of the matters that have been dealt with by the Commission. It is important also to recognize the contribution of former public protector, advocate, and Professor Thuli Madonsela, whose initial investigation into allegations of state capture laid the foundation for the establishment of this Commission of Inquiry. Lastly, I wish to acknowledge and commend the actions of the people of our country, South Africans, who shared determination to end corruption and to demand clean governance enabled the establishment and the work of the Commission. Without the people of our country showing the determination that they did to confront corruption in the public sector, the work of the Commission would not have yielded the type of results that we are seeing today. It was the people of this country who, in their various formations, stood up to what they saw as acts of gross wrongdoing and abuse of power. We have a collective responsibility to ensure in the end that the findings of this Commission and the recommendations of the Commission not only mark a decisive break with the corrupt practices that our country has experienced in the past, but that these recommendations provide the foundation for greater transparency, for accountability, and ethical conduct within all state institutions and across society as a whole. Now, I also want to thank the very many people and who I'd like to mention more especially. The work of this Commission would never really have reached the point where it has if those who blew the whistle, those that we call whistleblowers, did not come forward to detail the wrong things that were being done in the various institutions. And they often did so at great risk to themselves. Many of them lost their jobs. Many of them lost their livelihoods. And would like to thank them, to thank the whistleblowers of our country who had the courage and the determination to make sure that we bring state capture to the public, and in the end that we deal with it in the way that we are going to deal with it following this report. As required by the ruling of the Gauteng High Court on the 28th of December 2021, and in line with the remedial action contained in the Public Protector's report dated October 2016, I will submit the full Commission report to Parliament by the 30th of June 2021. It could be before, but certainly by the 30th of June 2022. And I will also give an indication of my intentions with regards to implementing the Commission's recommendations. As I indicated to court, only once the final installment has been received will it be possible, practically possible, to have complete sight of the report's implications and to develop an implementation plan on the recommendations. Government will therefore not make pronouncements on the findings nor the recommendations of the Commission's report before having received all parts of the report and having considered all the 3 parts of the report. We will, however, commence with the process of considering the parts of the report as they are submitted to the Presidency, and will be putting in place appropriate mechanisms to effectively and to thoroughly process the findings and recommendations. This will include engagement with all relevant departments, agencies, public entities, and other stakeholders as considered necessary. This process, which we expect will culminate in the submission of the report and implementation to Parliament by the end of June 2022, does not prevent other institutions from acting within their statutory mandate on any of the findings and recommendations of the report. While the terms of reference of the Commission require the submission of the Commission's report and recommendation to the President, the reality is that the report of the Commission really belongs to the people of South Africa. It does not belong to the President. The people of South Africa fought for the establishment of the Commission, and they have also closely observed the proceedings of the Commission and have the greatest interest in the outcome of Justice Zondo's Commission's report. I have therefore decided to release to the public each part of the Commission's report immediately after its submission to me. The first part of the Commission report will therefore be available on the Presidency website within the next few hours. Just as we end this press conference, in a few hours, that report will be on that website. In conclusion, I wish to recall my closing remarks during my appearance before the Commission in August of last year. Perhaps the most, I said, devastating and lasting cost of state capture and corruption is the effect on the confidence of the people of South Africa in the leaders and the officials in whom they place great trust and responsibility. State capture has damaged people's confidence in the rule of law, in public institutions, in law enforcement agencies, and even to some extent in the democratic process. That is what makes the work of this Commission so essential. The people of South Africa look to this Commission to uncover, as I'm sure we will read, to uncover the truth, to identify those responsible, and to recommend measures that will prevent state capture from happening ever again in South Africa. And as a country, we are emerging from a difficult period. Together, we have chosen a path of rebuilding and renewal. We've also chosen a path of transparency and accountability, but more importantly, we've also chosen a path of justice and the rule of law. I have every confidence that no matter the challenges that we face, We will walk this path together as South Africans, and we will prevail. This report enables us to up our tempo in dealing with state capture, and I am sure that if we all work together, we'll be able to rid our country of gross acts of corruption that we have seen in the past. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President, for those instructive, informative, assuring words to the nation. You spoke like the president of a democracy that is accountable, transparent, and open. And we are reaping the consequences of that. Professor Msala, I forgot to greet you. If you were planning a penalty against me, I've cancelled it. Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a short process of interaction between yourself, the President, the Chair of the Commission, who is Acting Chief Justice. We will start with a question from Mr. Mbeche, SABC. Take the platform, sir.
1, 2, yes. Good afternoon and a very happy New Year to you all. The first question, Mr. President, goes to you. I think I'll just intertwine some of the questions. Just before we came here, there was an NGO which was at court to basically try and interdict this report, but of course we know it was struck off the roll. But the essence of the argument, Mr. President, was that you are not the right person to receive the report because you somehow also were fingered. So how does that make you feel? Number 2, you have said as much as you are not going to do much in terms of, let's say, implementing until you get the final report, but you've said the agencies can go ahead. Do you think there is sufficient capacity to be able to perhaps pursue prosecutions where they have to be done? And perhaps the question which I think you somehow partly answered, that of basically not acting on the report in terms of, because I'll just remind you what you said at the State Capture Commission. You said as soon as you get the report, you will not wait, you will act. Assuming that in this preliminary report, for example, one of your ministers is fingered, will you act on them?
Thank you, Mr. Mbeche.
Should I answer? There's so many questions. Happy New Year. Let me start off with the first one that you asked about an NGO that sought to take us to court on the basis of urgency. The court, I think, said that the matter was not urgent, and if there were any issues that would have wanted to raise, they should have raised them a long time anyway. But then again, I don't know what the report will be saying about a whole variety of people, including myself. So one has to read the report first to be able to see whether one is conflicted or not. And my own history is that where I am conflicted, I have the sense of integrity to be able to step out of the way and say I am conflicted on this, and I've ingrained that in the way I do things all the time, so that fingers should never be pointed at one about either favoring oneself when you are conflicted. So the report is now here. I have received the report and as handed over to me by the Acting Chief Justice or the Chair of the Commission. And the process which are outlined is what we are going to follow. We are going to go through the report. And as you correctly say, whatever agencies, and we've got so many agencies in our country who may have a sense that there are certain things that they've either been looking at, investigating over a period, and the report either confirms or consolidates their thinking, they should go ahead and act as they are motivated. But as for us in government, as I said, we will not really be commenting on the report until we have applied our mind on the report and we have looked at it. And it is going to be a process that involves various parts of government. In the end, we will then come out with a implementation plan, which we will submit to Parliament. Now, that is about transparency. The people of our country will see for themselves whether we are hiding anything, up to and including, people who may well be either named and implicated or whatever. All that is now going to be out in the open. So everybody will see for themselves. And in the end, the implementation process is what we will need to pay heed to. And it will also be a very open and transparent process that we are going to go through. Whoever is affected, we will be able to ensure that there is implementation. People of this country could not have gone through the 4 years and the cost and expect that the report's outcomes or recommendations will not be implemented. They will be implemented. And we take this work of the Zondo Commission very, very seriously. And we do so because we want clean government. We want the democracy that our people want to see in action, being a democracy of value, democracy that is based on integrity, democracy where we rid our country of corruption. That's what we want to see. So this report, in many, many ways, is going to enable us with greater clarity, greater determination to embark on a full and fully fledged cleanup process and to end state capture and to make sure that some of the weaknesses, the problems that we had in the past are dealt with through implementing its recommendations. I hope that answers you. Thank you, Mr. Mbeje.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't say 3 questioners. We said 3 questions.
He has finished all the questions. Okay. You may want to remove, yeah, that's better. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, you want to be fair. All of us must get questions.
I know the President has said that they will, as government, will not make any announcements until they have the final trench of the report. It doesn't preclude you from answering some of my questions when it comes to the actual context of the report. Have you found prima facie evidence against any individuals? Just to repeat it, have you found any prima facie evidence against any individuals in this part of the report? And realistically, do you expect prosecutions in the evidence that you found? Thirdly, I know it's a long question, but thirdly, have you found any responsibility that goes up to the union buildings back in the with the former president? Have you found any linkage with the former president in terms of responsibility?
I'm going to disappoint you. I decided that I would not deal with the contents of the report here. But that shouldn't be a problem because you heard the president. In a few hours' time, you will see the contents for yourself. So you will see what findings are there, you will see everything. Nothing will be held back. So, but for today's proceedings, I won't deal with the contents of the report. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Acting Chief Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is more of logistic engagement. What's going to happen to the report, more than the substance. Now, the last question, not questioner, is going to come from Ms. Diana Hawkins.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a question for the President. It's Diane Hawker. Oh. No problem. It's like the no hawkers allowed signs, like that. With regards to government's decision to wait and see, my question is, we've seen for 4 years, we've all watched quite a lot of the evidence coming out at the Commission. And one would seem to think that there is quite a lot of information already at your disposal as government to act when it comes to inefficiencies in government, when it comes to poor leadership in government, when it comes to infighting within departments in government. Does government need to wait until the final report to act on those issues which we saw with our own eyes every day on television?
Should I answer Ms. Hawker?
Yes, you can proceed, Mr. President.
Yes.
Apology.
No, if you listened to what I said clearly, going through the report for us is going to be quite an involved process. We're going to make sure that various departments in government are able to analyze the report, look very closely at what is recommended. And of course, there will be areas where action could be taken, particularly relating to the issues that you've touched on: inefficiencies, infighting in government, lack of coordination, silo approach to work, and all that. So all those processes, as they are ferreted out by the Commission's report and recommendations, are matters that we will obviously be looking closely at, and those that we can act on, we will. But more broadly, on the broader recommendations, as I said, we are going to want to wait until the full three-part report is tabled before us. And thereafter, all that we have asked for, which the court granted, is up to the end of June, so that we are then able, in a very systematic way, respond to what the Commission has recommended, has found and recommended, and we will then be able to come up with an implementation plan, a more comprehensive and full implementation plan. So we don't have long to wait, by the way. We've waited for 4 years, and all we are now going to be asking is that we should have the patience until June, when we will come out more fully with precisely how we are going to go about implementing the recommendations. I hope that satisfies you.
Thanks, Mr. President, and thank Ms. Hawker. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it will be remiss of me, after thanking the President, the Chair of the Commission, Acting Chief Justice, not to thank you for how you kept us on our tentacles, on our toes, for the entire duration of this commission, how you stimulated our anticipatory taste buds, kept us awake, which day not to miss, which item to follow. Without you, that would not have happened. At times, our attention gets so caught up in so many things. But because you're there, you reminded us the days we should not miss. We know as we go ahead during the 4 months until the President presents a plan to Parliament, you will also be engaging the entire society and ourselves. We must thank you for that. I would have done badly if I don't thank the offices of both the President and the Acting Chief Justice for putting up with that situation, because for this to succeed, there had to be a collaborative relationship between the Commission and the state and the society and all those who participate, in particular those who are running their offices. I look at Roshan, I look at Ms. Jele, Stein, Professor Msala, DG, all those, that team from these different offices was very key for a productive, collaborative relationship. That's the end of our journey, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much. We will release the Acting Chief Justice and the President. Maybe we should wait for them to leave first, and then we can dismiss ourselves. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.